Okay, guys, I want to show you or walk you through 989 Harmony, the new construction duplex I'm doing right now. If all goes well on this one, I will do a couple more. I have a couple other lots I already bought just sitting there waiting, assuming that all goes well with the contractor. And I'll do a separate video more on the specifics of construction because I get asked about that a lot. It's actually quite simple, although it seems intimidating when you've never done it. This one's more a focus on the numbers, why this floor plan, all that sort of thing. So here's the finished product. And what's nice about this is I don't have to guess because my contractor has built several of these, rented them, and then sold them. So I know what they'll rent for, I know what they'll appraise for, and I know what they'll sell for. So here's an example, one that's under contract, right around the corner from where I'm building it. 3 bed, 2.5 bath, 1 car garage, nice finishes, especially for this market. There are so many slumlords down there that if you have a decently nice unit, you can get fantastic tenants, but new construction like this will move quickly, get premium rents and premium tenants, which is what I want. So just a quick scan through the pictures here. One important note, of course, I don't want to get too much into the construction side of it, but the whole purpose of going up down as opposed to a ranch with a wider foundation is it's cheaper to go up because that's more lumber and lumber has come way down, whereas concrete has gone way up. And so a ranch would be ultimately more desirable, a much larger footprint ranch that doesn't go up down. But the lumber presents significant cost savings. So 3 bed, 2.5 bath is really important here because there aren't a lot of 3 beds in this market. And so they're in demand as well, especially when it's new. So that's what I'm building. That's what it'll look like. Again, just reproducing what my contractor's already done several times. So that takes out a lot of the guesswork. Now, into the numbers. Okay, you can ignore this on the right. This is me taking one draw at a time and applying it to this just to see if we're on track. But these are the approximate costs, and they include everything except the cost of the land and the cost of the financing, right? I'm not going to do this for cash, so I got a construction loan through my hard money lender who I've used many, many times. So she also included a $20,000 contingency in this total. But I'm just going to assume that's all going to get used. So let's just quickly run through this. Engineering, anyone who's built in a major metro or really anywhere is going to look at that and not believe it. Yes, it's actually this cheap. In fact, I paid less than that. Engineering in this market is absurdly cheap. And you only need that for the foundation. If you think of a building in 3 pieces, the roof, the middle, right, the building itself, and then the foundation needs an engineer, so I pay for that. The trusses need an engineer, but that's just built into the cost of ordering the trusses from the lumber company. And then the living space itself can be drawn by anyone. You don't need any sort of license, so it's very cheap. Um, Permitting fees, permit fee, there's both the county and then the metro district. So there's 2 municipalities, 2 layers of regulation and permit and so on and so forth. And then this, oftentimes people forget this. So if there's a water and sewer line, you don't just get to tap into that for free. Now this is really high. Here in Colorado, water is scarce, so it tends to be more expensive. But you will always have to pay, down in Florida where I do a lot of business, one of the markets I'm thinking of, they tap into water and sewer for 8 grand altogether or 9 grand, something like that. And this is a little more expensive because it's a larger tap because it's servicing 2 units as opposed to one. Then continuing along, of course, you got to dig, you got to pour the foundation, put in all the rough infrastructure, right? Roof, got to do all of the framing and the labor included there to actually build the building. One thing I want to comment on, I love these mini splits. And what this is referring to is the air conditioning. So there's no central air. There's mini splits that have individual controls for each bedroom. And I have this in my personal house and it's great. Here in Colorado, the only time I ever want to use air conditioning is at night in the summer. So being able to just cool down the bedroom is pretty awesome. Tenants tend to like these. So it's also just cost effective because they're paying for it. So they like having that control. Now coming down, stucco is the exterior coating. need the garage and all the pieces and parts that go into that. Windows, doors, trim, finishing the drywall, which has several layers, insulation, painting, and of course, all those final finishes down here. There's the contingency I already mentioned, and then I just pay her 50 grand to do it. So all in with that contingency, 417, 319, 18. Now, I paid 21,000 for the lot. Really, I paid 20, but I paid the closing costs of 21. And then financing should be 15-ish altogether. And then to add a little extra buffer, let's just throw another 5 grand in there. Call it 4 to make it round. Let's just round this up all in. I'm just doing rough numbers here to 460. Let's just say it comes out to 460 total all in, right? Okay, what does that look like in actuality? Well, if we're all in at 460, she just sold a couple of them at 586 and they appraised at 586. But I'm fairly conservative. The longer I do business, the more I get kicked in the teeth, the more I get conservative financially speaking. So I'm going to say, let's say that appraisal comes down. Let's say we get a 550 appraisal and I finance 80% of that for the permanent loan. That allows me to take out 440. That would leave $20,000 of my own cash in the deal, and then closing costs for the permanent loan, call it 5,000. Okay, great. That's the principal and interest payment on 440, 7.5%, 30-year amortization. Taxes and insurance are very, very cheap down here. I own a number of rentals. Yes, this is realistic. So that comes to 3,352 every month. All utilities will be tenant's responsibility. Now, budgeting for CapEx, repairs, and vacancy really isn't necessary. We place the tenants properly and they'll stay there for years and years in this sort of building. Number two, there's not going to be any repairs and maintenance unless we really mess up in who we put in there. So those aren't really necessary. But again, having done this for a long time, I like to just have excessive reserves. If I have less than 15 or 20 grand in one of my accounts for a property, that makes me uncomfortable. So I'll start saving that from day one. And realistically, I'll save everything from day one because I really don't touch cash flow from any of the rental properties. But let's just throw this in there because why not? Why not be cautious? Management commentary here. So my properties are managed by property managers mostly. However, I have a few that are really nice and the tenants treat it like it's their house. They never need anything. They fix everything themselves. They pay on time. They would never think of not doing so. And this sort of building will allow me to place tenants just like that. And so I don't want to pay for monthly management. I'll have my property manager place the tenant so I don't have to do that. I'll pay her for that. And then if they need anything, they can contact me. So that's my opinion. That's why I'm going about it that way because there's just really no need. Management is pretty much null, and there's a few I pay her for to manage that I really wish I didn't because she doesn't have to do anything ever. They really are passive. So nice buildings get nice tenants. Anyways, all that to say, take this, add it up. Add it to the 4,000, that leaves a 248 monthly cash flow. Well, that kind of sucks. If you multiply that by 12, I don't know what it is, but if you divide that number by 25,000, which is the total amount of cash I have into it, it comes out to 11.9%. And Excel keeps rounding that up, and I can't figure out how to stop it. So 11.9%. That's an okay cash on cash return, and in actual monthly cash flow, it's really nothing. But again, these expenses don't really exist for a very long time. But even if I added 400, call it 648 a month, I mean, that's still not that impactful. The reason I'm buying this is twofold, or excuse me, building this is twofold. It's not for $648 a month. It's for, right, $100,000+ in equity from day one, right? That's powerful. And not just that, but depreciation. So there we go, depreciation. So I'll do a cost segregation study on this. And because it is 2024, I bought this lot in 2023, but I think because the building wasn't there till this year, I'm going to have to pretend I bought it in 2024. For anyone that doesn't know what I'm alluding to, I'm talking about the tax law that went into effect under Trump that allowed increased bonus depreciation, and that's been decreasing each year. So for purchases in 2024, it's 60%. So on a cost seg, on a 500 and let's say I go with that lower number. Let's say it appraises at $550,000 building value. That's still going to be really significant. I'll probably be able to write off 100 grand just for doing a cost segregation study on this. And so that's really powerful as well. And then finally, don't forget about amortization. Every month, a decent chunk of this is going into a savings account, basically, right? It's paying down the loan, it's increasing the equity. So there's that as well, but it's really the equity and the depreciation that makes this so valuable from day one. And having done this for years and years and owning quite a few properties, I'll tell you, this will go up. And especially once I have a little buffer in here and I'm okay taking money out every month, um, over time, this will become a very profitable rental. I bet you I'll be able to refinance sometime in the next 5 years and get the debt service way down. Done that with a bunch of my properties that I bought 5, 6 years ago. And they just spit off, 800, $1,000 every month. And this I expect will be better than that in time. So all that to say, this is a great example of a solid new construction project where if we screen the tenants right, if I manage the contractor right, it'll be passive, right? New construction, no repairs, no vacancy really for a long time. So if she performs on this one, building it, I'm gonna have her build several more, and I'll do a follow-up video walking through the actual nuances of building the building. But I want to have it completed before I do that, so stay tuned.